So we're going to demonstrate that with our strings first. And so the first tiny little string instrument we have is a ukulele. Right? And who's our ukulele demonstrator? So you hear it's higher pitched. It has 4 strings on it. You can play some chords, something. So ukuleles are very indigenous to Hawaii in that state, and you can find them all over. We actually have a lot of students who like to play ukulele just for fun. And so this is a baritone ukulele, which is larger, so it's going to be a little lower in pitch. So next up, we have an even larger instrument, kind of looks like a big ukulele. This instrument has 6 strings. Anyone know what this is called? Guitar. Yeah, guitar. And so we have 2 different types of guitars with us today. We have an acoustic guitar, which means it does not need to be plugged in, and we have an electric guitar, which will plug in. So Jacob, are you? So even larger instrument, we still get lower. The guitar has 6 strings, unlike the ukulele, which has 4. It allows you to play more notes and to be a little more versatile. You see a lot of songwriters that play guitar. Anything else, Jacob? Players at our school. It's one of the few schools that has a guitar studio full of guitar players. And we have our own guitar teacher. And so Veronica is going to demonstrate. She has an electric guitar, which means it needs to be plugged in to be heard.
Veronica, you can use my long cord if you want, so you can stand up here.
And what it allows the strings to vibrate, and it's an amplifier so that you can hear it more. The electric guitar, you notice, is a lot thinner because there is no hollow spot in the guitar because you hook it up to what's called an amplifier, and that's how the sound gets out to your ears. So, Veronica? Josh is going to demonstrate that. The bass has 4 strings, kind of like the ukulele. It's tuned a little differently though. And so this is our lowest string instrument that we have. The strings are thicker. Feel it? year we're actually going to have a whole class devoted to those string instruments called orchestra. And so the orchestra class will be learning violin, viola, cello, and bass. And just like our guitars and ukuleles and the bass, each one gets a little bigger and creates lower sound. Alright, so those are our string instruments. Our string instruments make sound. You notice they move the strings and they hit the string with their thumb or their finger, and that creates a vibration in the string. All music is created by vibration, okay? And so the vibration on the next set of instruments is going to be caused a very different way. Right? It's really easy to see guitar being played because you see the hand pick the string, all right? And so we're going to move to what are called the wind instruments. And the vibration is made a little bit differently with each one. And so we're going to start at the top, and we're going to work our way down. So Olivia, why don't you come up? We're going to start at the top, work our way down. So we're going to start with the smallest band instrument. And so this is because it's the smallest, it's the highest sounding band. So this is called a piccolo. And Olivia is a master piccolo player. I'm going to demonstrate without hurting my ears. So, yeah. So what all of these instruments, yeah. All of these instruments are called wind instruments because you take a breath and you blow air into the instrument, which is what creates the sound. And so you see Olivia is blowing air across this little hole at the top of the piccolo, and that's what creates the vibration and the sound. She's going to demonstrate on the flute. The flute is basically a large piccolo. Alright, so it works very much the same. She's going to blow air across what's called the tone hole, alright, and then it'll create sound. Alright, this is Brittany. Brittany is one of our clarinet players at HAPA, and just like the flute, there are multiple sizes of clarinet. You're going to see a different one in a couple minutes. But this is the most standard clarinet. There's smaller clarinets, and there's much larger clarinets. One's going to be demonstrated in just a couple minutes. But this is what most band clarinet players play, and so Brittany's going to demonstrate our clarinet. Same kind of technique, but each one's a little bit bigger, so the sound gets lower. So this is a soprano saxophone. Not many people play soprano saxophone, but Jeff here can do it. Jeff?
Get that salt.
So it's kind of like a metal clarinet in a sense, but it's a little different sound, and it is the highest member of the saxophone family. So Jeff is our saxophone guy. He's going to continue down the saxophone line. After soprano saxophone, we have alto saxophone, which is the most common saxophone played in most bands. So plays most of the time he's in band. Going down from there, we have the tenor saxophone. Again, it just gets a little bit bigger. It's a little different in pitch, but they all kind of sound the same a little bit because they're all built the same way. Why don't you go down the scale to the low end of the tenor saxophone? So the tenor saxophone can get pretty low compared to the other saxophones, but it's nothing like the next saxophone, so just going to take the largest. This is kind of the same as the very saxophone. It has some different sound. It's a little warmer because it's not made of metal, but can go just as low as the very sax. Most of these instruments have 10, 11, 12, 13 keys, but this one has eight keys just for one finger.
Actually, it's 11.
Is it 11?
9, and this one has 4, so there's like.
So we're talking about like 20 different keys on this instrument alone. All right, Josh. Another one of our low-end instruments to create some bottom for our band. Yeah, the instrument has a very wide range. It goes very low and very high, which makes it very useful. The next instrument is my favorite. This is the one I play. This is called the trumpet, right? All of the instruments that have been wind instruments so far, most of them use wood to create the sound, and so all of these instruments to my right are called woodwind instruments. And so while they all use wind to produce the sound, they also use that little piece of wood. And so these are all woodwind instruments. The trumpet and these three instruments are considered part of the brass family. And they're a little different. Each one of these instruments has a mouthpiece that plugs into the instrument that creates sound by its own. And it's what we call a buzzy sound. And so if I play just the mouthpiece, kind of like what Josh did, but when I plug it into the trumpet, it creates a very different sound. Trumpet's really nice because it can be one of our louder instruments in the group. If you ever watch the Kentucky Derby, about a button for every finger. Just about. Some of them, a couple thumbs you don't have to move, but basically all 8 of your fingers you have to move to make some noise. Brass is special because most of us have 3 buttons, and we'll talk about the trombone, which has no buttons in a minute. So I change notes with these 3 valves, but I also have to change how my lips vibrate. So my lips inside the mouthpiece are going, and that's what creates the sound. And I can change the notes with the valve. With a lot of tubing, it's called a French horn or horn. There are lots of slides that you see, and connected to these 3 buttons here, there's also a 4th button on the French horn. And so, just like the trumpet, the French horn is a mouthpiece that gets plugged in there, and your hand goes in the bell. And this is actually considered one of the loudest instruments of the band if it's played correctly. They used to use horns like this when they were hunting, and they make horn calls just like that. And so I really like horn, even though I'm not a horn player, but it's a very nice sound. All right, Ethan. Trombone. So our next instrument's called a trombone. Trombone's a brass instrument, but like I mentioned, it doesn't have any valves. It has this big slide, which changes the notes.
It's an effect. They like it. Alright, ready? The common plunger. Like trumpet and horn, it uses valves to change the pitch, but it works a lot like trombone and it sounds pretty similar. So, Ethan, demonstrate that. Make sound by you hitting the instrument or moving your hand across the instrument in different ways. And so we brought a couple of smaller ones. We have Ethan up here has a pair of bongos, and so there's 2 drums, a high and a low, and you can create different sounds on those. So just kind of demonstrate them a little bit.
Did you hear?
So use your hands to hit the drum and it creates the sound. Jeff's got what's called a shaker. There's a couple of different names for it, but he's been just called a shaker. And so Jeff's going to move these beats here and move the instrument underneath the beats, and it creates the sound.
Josh has a very common tambourine. The little metal pieces shake and rattle, and you hit the instrument, makes that sound. Yeah. All right.
Excuse me. Nathan.
The last type of instrument that we brought, like I mentioned, is the voice. The voice was the first instrument ever created, and all of these instruments were made to mirror the voice, because the voice is the purest form of music that we have. And so we have a couple vocalists with you, with us. I'm going to start high or low. Alright, so this is Stephanie. Are you a soprano? So Stephanie is a soprano, and sopranos are the highest voices in our choirs. And so she'll demonstrate some of her range. And if there was any chance you came to see Cinderella, when we did Cinderella a couple months ago, she was Cinderella in our production. So,
Usually before I sing, I do some warm up. So I just go really high and then I go really low. So then I would just sing like, I don't know. Wishing you were somehow near again. Wishing you were somehow here. It's just really pretty and really soft.
alright, thank you, Stephanie. An alto? So, Giovanna is an alto, and so the alto is the second tier in our choir. We have the sopranos at the top, and then altos are just below them. Her voice is a little bit lower than Stephanie's. You want to demonstrate that?
So I'm an alto, so I sing lower than Stephanie. So when I warm up, I do a lot of big notes. So I do hey, or I start off. There's a phrase we sing, many mumbling mice. So I sing many mumbling mice are making their music in the moonlight, mighty nice, and I just keep going down. So I sing many mumbling mice are making their music in the moonlight, mighty nice.
Mine, are you a baritone or a bass?
I sing variety.
Yeah.
So, baritone.
Ahmad's kind of a hybrid voice. We call it baritone. He can sing pretty high, and he can also get pretty low. There are two standard male voices in choir. There's a tenor, and then there's a bass, and Ahmad's kind of in between.
Yeah.
So, to demonstrate his voice.
I don't really have a specific one. I'm not a tenor, I'm not a bass. I'm baritone. I can sing very high, like, or I can do very low. But to warm up, I usually go, and then I go really high. I'm like,
So, we demonstrated all our instruments together. But almost all the time we play these instruments together. And so we're going to demonstrate a piece of music together that we played. We're going to have a couple parts. We played this at the jazz concert with some different people, but we're going to make it work for today. And so we're going to play a piece called Sway that Giovanna is going to sing on, and then a couple of us are going to play. So let's get that ready. Sway. That's going to feature Gio. Sure. Here we go. Ready? And Being here and you having us, and we're always happy to share the arts with everyone. And so hopefully I see all of you in a couple years in band. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.